Hey, I'm Micah Mathews, and welcome to Sports News Relay. We've got Charles Turrubiate from Saved and Tatted on here today, and KJ, the audio technician for Radio Faith. And so we're excited to have you join us today. But we're just going to talk some sports, vent a little bit about our Cowboys, and then maybe dive into a little bit of Super Bowl breakdown. So who wants to get us rolling with some Cowboys talk?
Look,
are we still recovering? Are we ready to talk about this yet?
There's a lot of moves that need to be made, though.
Okay.
So I'm just going to throw these two out there.
All right.
There's actually three moves. Make an offer to Pollard.
Okay.
Either get rid of Dak or pick someone up in the draft where we can train up while Dak tries to figure out what he's doing. And then Zeke's got to go.
Is that awkward as you're wearing the Zeke jersey, though?
Hey, I'm still stuck in 2014 when they played the Packers.
Yeah.
And
it was a catch.
Yeah, he caught the ball.
He did catch the ball.
Like, it's going to be like 2090, and I'm still like, he caught the ball.
Yes, exactly.
That was our Super Bowl year.
Yes.
2090?
Yeah.
2090,
yeah.
Bro.
Shoot, I'm in the gym.
You should probably put on the pizza.
I'm counting the calories. This is in my
If you want to make it to 2090, we probably should not eat 3 pizzas by ourselves. Yeah, we each have our own.
You didn't even pull the veggie one.
Well, that's for you.
Pull the meat lovers.
So
that's for you.
So yeah, my thoughts. I've always been kind of a Dak defender, and not because I think that he's a top 5 quarterback, but I had the same theory all the way back to the Romo days. That sure, there are things that are frustrating, but to find a great NFL quarterback is not that easy, right? My thought was always we can't move on until there's something better.
True.
I'm getting really close to the end of that rope. I think I'm almost I think one more year is all I can take of this kind of result, because it's just we've just been doing the same thing. I mean, I mentioned this a little bit on your podcast, Charles, but I was born in '93, so I think I'm part of the most tortured generation of Cowboys fans.
I came
right?
1 year after you.
Yeah, and so it's
88. Who's keeping?
Yeah, exactly. And so we get the last Super Bowl. I remember really the aura of that team, but I don't physically remember watching those games and stuff. I was too young, and so it's just been this. And I'm not the Cowboys fan that wants to go and tell everybody that it's our year, but I've internally had those thoughts a million times.
I am the one.
I really thought this year.
Yeah, I just have started keeping those thoughts to myself for the last 10 years, because I've been conditioned for heartbreak. But I just think that that it's about time, though, now with this. With Romo, I defended him forever and forever, and then thought, okay, maybe Dak's the solution.
But Romo looked good on paper.
Oh yeah.
And Romo, even though they're talking down on him now, he knows his plays. He knows. I don't know if it's the bird eye view that helps him in that, because there were times that you didn't see that with him on the field, but on paper he was an elite quarterback.
Yeah.
Top 5 in his era? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because it was Brady and Manning's era. So
Yeah. And that era is done. So
yeah,
I think they've always had a quarterback that I think always has not been the best, but it's always fit the team well.
Yeah, and it's we're stuck in this weird spot of they're just good enough that you can't get rid of them, right? It's hard to justify
every
moving
year
on.
we always go to the playoffs.
It's we can get there, but we can knock on the door, but we're not getting in, and that's what's frustrating to me as a Cowboys fan. It's I don't know what I would rather be. Is just would you rather be really bad and just have to rebuild, or and go through that for a little bit, so then you could maybe strike gold with the Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or whatever it is, or do you just continue to fight in the middle of the pack, maybe the upper end of the middle of the pack, and just hoping that maybe you find that one guy?
We're the second best team in the NFL. It's we're always good enough to get there, but never right here. It's as soon as we get here, we're no, let's.
So I'm a huge Cowboys fan, but I'm a sports fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I can admit that when something isn't good and the team together just wasn't good. These were the two mistakes that I think the Cowboys made. Was one, that Prescott was a playoff quarterback. He wasn't. When the Cowboys got rid of Amari Cooper and pulled CeeDee Lamb in to be the starter, the wide
number
receiver
one
one.
guy, yeah.
That was a good move. Assuming that Gallup was going to be wide receiver 2, that's where they messed up at.
Yeah.
They didn't have a wide receiver 2. Luckily, our tight ends stepped up. All of them were being real versatile. There was a couple drop passes throughout a couple games towards the end of the season, but I don't think that they used the tight ends quite as much as they should have throughout the season. I think that the tight ends is what ultimately helped us get into the playoffs these last 2 games, was the tight end routes. But one, like I said, Zeke's got to go. Like,
well, so much money is the killer. Like, we've invested so much in these 2 guys and Dak and Zeke that like they're aging. Dak's still got years left as far as, quarterback life is a lot longer. But like, I don't understand. Like, I think Jerry let emotions become a role whenever they signed that contract, because like we all loved Zeke and he was great for us in those first few years, and I think he still could be a serviceable back, but not at the price tag that we're currently paying him. Like, I think he's a good number 2 punch to Pollard now if he's a lot cheaper. But like the thing is we can get that on a rookie deal if we get rid of him. And so like,
and he knows that.
Yeah.
You saw that he made the comment that, hey, I'll take a pay cut to stay in Dallas, because he knows he wasn't performing the way he should have been.
Yeah, he's not getting paid, top running back or he's getting paid top running back in the league money, but not playing like it anymore. And so
I think even Tony Pollard was ranked like one of the top 5 quarterbacks, even over Barkley.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man.
Yeah, Pollard had a great year. And that's the thing is like, in today's league, it's fine to have 2 guys. You honestly need to have 2 guys. Like I think we learned that running backs can't last very long when you're just giving them the ball every single down like that, and they're just taking a beating. And so it's I think it's a good idea to have that second guy, but I just think that Zeke's basically he can go out there on first down on the first play of the game all you want to, but he's not the starter. Pollard is the guy who's getting starter touches, and so he's basically the highest paid backup running back in the league by a mile. And so
that does happen across the league. I mean, we saw it happen with Gurley. We saw it happen with Connor in Pittsburgh. We saw it happen with who else?
Melvin Gordon.
Gordon. What was his name from Miami? How do you pronounce his name?
Ajayi.
Yeah. Him. Yeah. We saw it happen with him. I mean, that one season, I don't even know what season it was, but he put up like 200 points like the first or 200 yards the first 3 or 4 games he was in almost. Yeah. And then that next season he was just like, and that hurts my fantasy. Yeah. Because I go in and I shouldn't pick my teams by what they did solely on the year before. Yeah. But that's how a lot of my fantasy drafts go. Yeah. And I'll go and pull them. Like I got Zeke this year. I was like, he came back, he lost some weight, he tightened up. Like, this is it. And then you got people who got Pollard in like the 27th round. Yeah. And then they're just
and he's lighting it up.
I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. If it's a keeper league, then they're going to get him super cheap next year. But yeah, so like I think they're in this weird spot. Like, and they've made some moves, right? Like they've started making a lot of staff changes right now. Moving on from Kellen Moore, which I don't have a problem with moving on from Kellen Moore. I'm not excited about the idea of McCarthy taking over play calling, because the biggest challenge to me in McCarthy's era has been like clock management, game management stuff. And then when you add the responsibility of play calling on top of that in the game, it feels like it's going to become even more neglected on the clock management and game management side. And so that, I'm not really thrilled about that, but I do, in some weird way, kind of like it, because I think if it goes bad, maybe that's the final straw and we move on from McCarthy and go
what's
another
your ideal
route.
Situation for them?
Say that again?
If you could fire and hire everybody, what would you do? What's your ideal situation?
Yeah, well, Sean Payton just got a job, so that kind of goes out the window now. But to me, I would love to see Dak with a really creative offensive coordinator. Let's find somebody from the Kyle Shanahan tree. Let's find something, because that dude seems to be able to turn anybody who can halfway throw a football and hand it off into a borderline Pro Bowler. And so, if that's the case, I think Dak has some physical skills and tools. if he can maximize that and maybe limit the mistakes, and that's the thing too. I mean, you see the success that Purdy had pre-injury. Like a lot of that is because Shanahan knows how to design an offense that takes away a lot of those big mistakes for quarterbacks. There's a reason Garoppolo's had success there too. Like so, if we could get somebody with that kind of philosophy, that somebody from that coaching tree, like I think that really, because to me, like when Dak gets in trouble, when he starts sitting back and then has pressure in his face, like he will, it's like he gets jittery and just will sling the ball into triple coverage.
His mind overtakes him.
Yeah.
He's a 2 and out.
Yeah.
Like, boom. 2 steps, throw the ball. 2 steps, throw the ball. He's on the money.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is his size is just, it's hard to find that in quarterbacks now.
Mm-hmm.
Finding that size that he has.
Yeah.
He could be, he's built for it. I just think he has a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
But, you brought up San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
How did that game look for you?
Yeah. To me, like the frustrating thing is we have a championship defense now, and it showed in that game, right? Like to be able to hang with that team that's got some weapons. Yes, Purdy's young, but like the weapons around him and Kyle Shanahan leading that offense too, like or calling plays, like is dangerous, and we've seen that. But like so they have a championship defense, but then just to see the offense fail, and it's just in these moments like there's two versions of Dak that are hard to reconcile, right? Like to see the guy that he was, in the Tampa game, or the guy that he is in the regular season. A lot of times this year in the second half of the regular season wasn't so hot either, but like especially the previous year though, he was lighting it up. Like to see that guy and then try to reconcile how that's the same person that's playing in that San Francisco game is just doesn't make any sense to me. And so it's hard. And then once again we get to the end of the game and somehow have a chance to win a game that we really didn't have any business winning, and bad, clock management, play calling kind of takes away the opportunity for that too. And so that's where I wasn't in love with the McCarthy hire when we made it. Really? I haven't been in love with it. I
was excited about that.
See, I'm not.
Why not?
So to me, like if you look at what's been successful in today's league, and McCarthy has a Super Bowl, right? But like he had Aaron Rodgers. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a different world. And then he went, 8-9 years after that Super Bowl with Rodgers and couldn't get back there, right? They just couldn't get over that hump. And so to me, like that just wasn't the move to make. Like and he hadn't and also when they let him go in Green Bay, I feel like there was some clear signs of maybe a little bit of incompetency on game management and that sort of thing as well.
That's his worst thing is that clock, man.
Yeah, and that was frustrating to me because that was some of the issues we had with Jason Garrett as well. And so I just felt like but it's Jerry Jones's MO, right? Like he doesn't want the Kyle Shanahan to come in that's going to truly run the show the way they want to. I mean, that's why all the way going back to the Super Bowl eras, like Jimmy Johnson and him butted heads because Jimmy was that kind of strong personality that when he was there, he was going to do it his way, and Jerry wasn't going to get to tell him what to do. And when he did, let him go. Like Barry Switzer can say he's a Super Bowl winning head coach all he wants to, but that is Jimmy Johnson's team. Yeah. And so like it's kind of been the Cowboys' nature to take in these guys like that. In my lifetime, the head coach Dave Campo was it was a guy that Jerry could kind of control and lead and steer. Parcells was maybe the one guy that had more of that mantra that and that personality where he could challenge Jerry, but I don't. And there's also a reason he didn't last super long in Dallas.
I think once Jerry's kids got more involved and kind of in the ears, that's where a lot of the possibility of a coach being able to call play, a coach being able to make calls, kind of just eliminated altogether. Now you just don't have one Jones, you have two Jones, three Jones.
And I'm not like a fan. It is like, and I'm not a huge fan of like the New England method of like where basically Belichick runs the entire franchise. Because I think if you look in the last 7-8 years, once Belichick's kind of taken that level of influence in the leadership, they've actually drafted horribly. Like they've made really bad decisions in a lot of those things, and he's just kind of living off. And I think Belichick's a great coach, but I think maybe he's a better coach than he is a GM. And so I don't necessarily think that you need to give the coach that level of influence, but I think there's a balance to where you can really find a guy like a Kyle Shanahan, like a Sean McVay, that can kind of come in, and they change the culture from day one. Like when that guy shows up, it's different. You see it in New York. Like they hire Brian Daboll this year, and the Giants, that roster had no business being in the playoffs. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not a team that anybody thought was going to be there, but he turns them around, and that's what's frustrating, I guess, as a Cowboys fan. Is like I feel like we've come into 20 seasons with more talent than that Giants team had this year, or than the Giants Super Bowl teams had. Why can't we have that one year that we find the guy that breaks us through again?
I want to experience it while I know what's happening.
It's like we can't get our offense and our defense together. It's always
at the same time.
Yeah, it's like, we've got like this year we've had a great defense.
Yeah, defense.
Most of the games you look at, like we're stopping those blocks, but we can never get the score.
That's got to be the defenses. Like that's got to be hard on them to be able to pull up those stops, be able to get those 4 and outs, and then you got or your 3 and outs, and then you got the offense coming in and just screwing everything up.
Like the game against the Texans, there's no reason it should have been
a football game at all. Yeah, like, and so it's just
what do you think about the whole, and not from a Cowboy standpoint, but from the way that this season has been played out, the NFL having too much opportunity and too many strings in the league. Do you believe that?
Like the script stuff?
What do you mean?
No, I don't. Like I don't.
Oh, like all the stuff on the screen and stuff?
No, like just like the scripts. Like
so basically, like the theories.
Like
almost like the NFL is playing puppet master on all this and controlling that. And to me, like I don't think that's the case. These guys have been playing. These guys have been playing their whole life. They
might have like a small handed, but I don't think enough to really say like, all right. I think we're gonna make the Cowboys lose for the next 30 years.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. Like,
I mean, so that is cool because then we get a cool underdog story.
Yeah, like it's a great excuse for us. Like, honestly, like if they were like, oh, we just haven't won because they told us we weren't allowed to. Like, this is
they said we can't win until 2030. But
like, I can almost. And again, it's not because
I might start using that excuse too.
Yeah,
they won't let us win.
Yeah,
it's not because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I can promise you that this Super Bowl will probably be one of the least watched Super Bowls there is.
Yeah,
I just don't find the Chiefs and the Eagles an entertainment.
See,
honestly, I didn't even realize who was going to the Super Bowl till like maybe an hour ago because once they were out, I was like, I'm done.
See, I think though.
No, I'm serious.
I think my Cowboys bias makes me not care that the Eagles are there, like because I've been prepared to not like the Eagles, but I
don't care about San Francisco.
But I think that Patrick Mahomes is the most entertaining player to watch in the league.
He's like a glitched Madden quarterback, like halfway to the ground, and he throws a ball behind his back, and it's for 30 yards.
And that's
I don't get it.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, what's special about him to me is that like. He's a guy who is great on schedule, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I saw a stat the other day that, like, when he throws 90% of his passes from within the pocket, they're, like, undefeated. And it's, like, 14-0 or whatever in games that he's done that. So, like, whenever he is stuck in the pocket, too, and can throw from there, they're still really good there, too. Mm-hmm. But what separates him is he can do that. But then whenever things go off script and go, off schedule, he can do things that no one else that's ever played the position can do. And so, because he combines, he's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the most athletic guy in the world, but he's got an absolute cannon, can throw from any platform. Some of that baseball background, I think, comes in there too.
I don't think that they've faced a defense as good as the Eagles.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case in the playoffs at least. And so, but I just. Man,
you think the Chiefs are going to take
I think that there's a Patrick Mahomes factor that is just hard to measure. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so
like he's a wild card.
Yeah, like it's because to me it's like he's the guy that can do stuff that just doesn't make any sense. And so like in a game like this,
he's like the way Brady was with 2 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, like there were so many games.
Get out of here.
There were so many games that, like, on paper, like the Patriots should not have won over the years.
Yeah.
But it's just like because Brady's on the field, you just know.
With 2 minutes on the clock
and so I just think,
pressure.
And I think too that this is a major legacy game for Pat. Like, and so if he wins this, like this is 2 Super Bowls in his first 6 years. an MVP. This is his third Super Bowl to go to. Like, to be 2 out of 3. Like, this is the thing that can kind of try to keep him on pace with a Brady-like career, right? Like, because Brady, like, I don't think that anyone's getting to 7 Super Bowls, but I think that this is the way that he stays close to that. Like,
I don't doubt that.
Was this his second or third?
This will be his third appearance, and it would be his second win.
He's a top 5 quarterback, and he's been a top 5 quarterback for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
But I don't know, dude. There's just something about the Eagles team that I just feel is. I think the Eagles defense is what's going to win their game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's going to be a landslide, but the Eagles are going to take it.
I think the Eagles are probably the fan favorite.
No, I think the Chiefs are.
I think I think that Mahomes and Kelsey are just such and it's weird because with any other team, like tight ends are different than receivers. They're a little bit easier to like scheme out of a game, but for some reason nobody seems to be able to do that against Kansas City. And part of that is I think Travis Kelce's like a wide receiver skill set and a tight end body. Like he runs and moves and also there's just
what's his name? Gonzalez.
Yeah, he is. He's like Tony Gonzalez 2.0, and so like, and honestly, maybe a slightly improved version of that. But that kind of athletic receiver, like he's not as good of a blocker as a Kittle or some of those kind of guys, but he is so special receiving wise as a tight end, and him and Mahomes just have a connection that I think is different too. That like it's not whenever Mahomes starts scrambling. Their receivers, and specifically Kelsey, don't just go into like your typical like scramble drill by the book, right? Because I played a little bit of quarterback and receiver as I played, but like when a quarterback starts to scramble, there's certain ways that you're supposed to go to try to give him options. The Chiefs don't really operate by that stuff. Yeah. That's why it's so hard to defend because even defenses, when they're scrambling, expect receivers to go certain ways. But Pat will throw back across the field. He'll do some crazy thing. Yeah, exactly. Like he'll throw it left-handed, whatever it takes, right? And so that stuff is just hard to prepare for as a defense. And I do think, I don't think that this Eagles defense has been tested at all in the playoffs, right? Like they play a Giants team that I think most of us could agree really didn't have a lot of business being there.
I think we were it would have been us with them. I think we would have had the strongest.
Well, and even a healthy Purdy, right, might have given them more trouble. But to knock him out so early in the game, and then they're playing, and then they knock Josh Johnson out. And so, that game was over, 7 minutes into the first quarter because once Purdy gets hurt, it was basically done because
run game after that.
Yeah, because their defense is really good. And then also, they can back it up on offense too. That I think it just really kind of made it a boring game to watch, honestly, after Purdy goes down. And so I do think that they're the least tested team in the playoffs. They've had the easiest route. They get a first round bye, then they have to play, a Giants team that's probably the weakest team in the playoffs, and then they get to play, a San Francisco team who's super talented, but then their quarterback goes out 7 minutes into the game or whatever. And so then they get a really easy walk where I do think there's a little bit of battle-testedness to the Chiefs. I think the Jaguars team, I think that was a game that they pretty much had in hand. But Pat gets hurt and has to battle through some of that in that game. And then, having to play Burrow and, who's taken them out, several times in a row now, who beat them to get it to the Super Bowl last year. I do think that they kind of had that monkey off their back now and have kind of had to prove themselves in the playoffs. That I do think that could maybe give them an edge coming into this game. But I do think it's a toss-up. It's not
That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Burrow in it.
Yeah.
I think that would have been I don't know, man. I just can't hop on the Mahomes bandwagon. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something about him.
And I'm probably a little bit –
because he reminds me of Brady.
Yeah.
That's why. And I don't like Brady.
But I love the playing style. He's just fun to watch because I do think, with Brady, it was unexpected as far as, the result of games, but the way he played was not flashy and just there weren't as many jaw-dropping moments. Watching Mahomes is the most entertaining thing in football right now as far as just pure entertainment value. If you don't care who wins the game, you're not worried about that. You're just watching for entertainment. He is dynamic, explosive, and what they do. And what's crazy is it really hasn't been a drop-off since with Tyreek leaving. Now, sure, you don't get the slant that goes 85 yards because he just outran everybody. Like, but he is still like Mahomes has still been explosive. Kelsey's production didn't drop off. If anything, got better.
From what I'm hearing you say, are you putting Mahomes as the number one?
Oh, he's the best quarterback in football to me. I think like because to me it's Mahomes, Burrow, and I think Allen is after that.
I would put Allen up. Me personally, I would put Allen at almost 1.
Yeah, and I just think that
in the league right now.
I just think that only in the league right now. Like I think Brady, Manning, those guys are the GOATs. Like as far as like we're just talking all the time because they have a full career resume like to compare.
Yeah,
but like
Brady, yeah.
I don't personally like Brady as far as like is because I think you just get tired of the same people winning.
Another team and he said,
but I also as a like objective sports fan can look at him and say he's had the greatest career of all time. And so maybe for him it's kind of like the LeBron Jordan argument, and I won't go down that path too much, but like to me, like Jordan's the greatest of all time, and so like, but Braun but Braun maybe has like one of the best resumes because of the length of his career, and that's kind of where Brady got to is like he stayed at that level for so long that it was special. But anyway, back to like today's quarterbacks, I think Mahomes is number 1, is Burrow number 2, Allen at 3. And then it's kind of a toss-up of some other guys because it's really been a change in the guard, like at quarterback, over the last few years. But you still have some of the older guys in there. Rodgers and those, I think, are still in that conversation. Herbert, super talented, guy in that kind of, Lamar Jackson. There's a lot of talent beneath those guys. But to me, Mahomes is the clear number 1. And I think that the last several games have kind of shown that. I think Allen is –
you wouldn't even put Hurts in there?
I don't think he's a top 5 guy. Not yet. Like, this is the first year we've seen it. Like last year he was okay, but he had a lot of talent around him, and he got killed in the playoffs. Like I mean, and so
he didn't even have like enough time to really show off.
What do you think's making them do so good?
So like I think he is playing at a top 5 level. Like this season, he has played at a top 5 level. But if I'm in a tier quarterbacks, it takes more than one season for me. Like where to me,
my thing is that if you remove Hurts from the game, do the Eagles make it as far as they have?
Yeah, but I think if you say that about Mahomes, like the Chiefs might not even make the playoffs if Mahomes isn't the quarterback. Like, you know what I mean? Like they have a lot less talent around him than the Eagles have around Hurts right now. That defense is stacked in Philadelphia. They've got some really talented guys around him.
And Mahomes, at least he's had time to like been tested,
Yeah, like he's had an MVP season. He's had a Super Bowl season.
1.5 seasons.
At least they're both Texas quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think it does prove that. All debate aside, Texas high school football is the best in the country, and so there's nothing to debate there. And so, but yeah, I think that it's going to be an exciting game. I think that we're all looking forward to it. Make sure to hop on the live stream during the Super Bowl. We're going to be breaking down stuff during the game. We're going to be walking through, enjoying it with you, having these conversations and debates and stuff. But thank you for joining us on Sports News Relay today. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, KJ, for being here.
Wait. What are your predictions for the score?
Score? Chiefs, 31-28.
Shoot. I don't know. I want to say whatever it is. Philly. Chiefs are going to be up double. So Phillies are going to lose by half. Okay. Whatever it is.
I would say, I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Like a 15-30 type thing.
I say 17-14.
Okay. Philly? All right.
Should we place like a friendly wager on this?
An extra slice of pizza. So
I'll send you a piece.
George has been eyeing this. He almost came over here and stuck a piece.
That Supreme is clearly for George. So he's the one on the diet. We're over here knocking out the meat lovers. And so, but thank you all for coming on. Make sure to join us on Super Bowl Sunday. All right.
Peace. Insert the F-150s.
Hey, if you've enjoyed watching this, make sure to check out Radio Faith's other podcast, Saved and Tatted, hosted by Charles. You don't want to miss it. Go subscribe today. Saved and Tatted show on YouTube. If I can say the word YouTube, my tongue is
because we know how that goes.
Oh, Lord, we'd be here for 30 minutes. Go check Charles Saved.
Yes,
no, sir.
I've gotten more used to it now because of stuff with the church. But it's dumb. Like I could say it 100 times, like if I'm not trying to say it scripted, like in front of a camera. But then it's like
I'll be in my car. Hurry up and get you a piece. He looked at the kolaches and he was like, do I want to eat another kolache or do I wait till the pizza's done?